Ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again. The 11th season of the Midwest F1 League about to be underway here at the Autodromo Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. I almost called it the Monza for a second. Here in Sao Paulo, Brazil, on the eve of the first practice session for the 2023 Brazilian Grand Prix. Here we are, Division 3, Hotspot on the call with you. I am so excited. This is my favorite time of the whole season by far. Nothing ever equates to just what we're about to see here, and what a track to kick it off with as well. Brazil, in my opinion, could not be the better circuit to start off a season. It's been absolutely brilliant. We've got new faces and new places, new contenders perhaps rise up to the occasion, and we're about to see who exactly they are. We've got some familiar faces, some new ones. I mean, we've got everything. We are so ready for this. I cannot wait. So here we are in Brazil. Let's see what the weather's going to be. Is it going to be dry? I was going to ask if it was going to be dry. Jesus. This is slightly unideal, has to be said. Full wet conditions here for qualifying. As you can see, I'm going to check the Discord now to see if perhaps it's going to be full wet the entire time. Oi, hang on just a minute. This is going to be something else. I cannot believe how much rain we have. This is incredible. I've never seen anything like this. Who's, sorry, somebody pinged me there for a second. So, according to Peter DRH, heavy rain for the quali, as we can see. Less than 10% chance throughout. So, that's going to be one hell of a mixture. Throughout this qualifying session, we get this heavy wet session here, which is going to turn into, you know, a rather dry race. That actually may be quite good to see. That's going to give us some, I would say, a little bit of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit shuffling about in the order here in qualifying. Obviously, it's going to be difficult conditions. I would highly doubt we're going to see anybody on the intermediates throughout this. It'll be heavy rain all the way through. That means we are going to have the potential for some new drivers at the top, but one driver who will not fit that description is Fuse Rogue. This guy, in his own right, has been unbelievably quick all last season as well. I believe was either joined or promoted midway through. Did not make the promotion into Division 2, although should someone from Division 2 drop out, or perhaps even Division 1, I would believe this driver would be first in line because he is right quick. Every season, every race, you can expect to have him towards the top. And I'm going to go out and say it. I think he's going to be a strong contender for the championship this year, as our first DNF of the season belongs to the Mercedes of Anto. He has gone off, going in towards the Duck's Beak section of the track. That is turn 10. In fact, that is the literal translation. Bico de Pato is Duck's Beak in Portuguese, I would assume. We do have Fuse Rogue starting a time lap now, down through the Senna S's, then through Curva do Sol, turn 3, down the back straights, or Reta Aposta, I believe, I probably botched that, into Delago now, turn 4, where we saw Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen have one of their many debacles here, but here we are. Can I get the gap back to leader? Purple Sector 1 naturally at this point. Up then through Lauren, I don't know how to pronounce that one, but this is turn 8, and then back into turn 9, kind of, I would almost say cambered corner this, not entirely, but typically during the race you could see a couple of those different lines going through there into the Duck's Beak corner. Bico de Pato turn 10, and then exiting turn 10, down the hill. It's going to be very tricky to maintain traction through here. He's done quite well at the moment. Actually, does really well, I'd have to say. That was about one of the cleanest transitions in through those corners I've ever seen in these conditions. Out of a turn 12, turn 13, turn 14, round then, turn 15, all the way back to the start-finish line here. Let's see what kind of time Fuse Rogue puts in. It's going to be mid-120s, 121. Yeah, 121, 219. That's going to be probably, I would think, one of the better laps we see. That was not very many mistakes to be had there. Another driver to look out for is Soy Loco. It was in... I tell you what, there's a lot of these drivers that we do see. D-Block in the AlphaTauri, that's a new face, haven't seen him yet. 2.5 tenths off of our leader at the moment. Soy Loco's going to be another face to look out for here. I believe drove in Division 3 last season as well, if I'm not mistaken. One, actually, funny we mention it, did win the Brazil round last season. So definitely be on the lookout for Soy Loco, and I would assume he might be one of those drivers vying for promotion as well. We do have the McLaren of, I want to say that is Los Mendigos, off through turn 11 and 12. Soy Loco making his way through, what is this? I think this is 11 and 12, isn't it? I could be wrong, but, yeah, into turn 12 now. Looks like he's holding it well. Currently, again, Fuse Rogue still has the fastest time, 1:21.219. Peter DRH, a second and a half behind, second and a half off the pace. That's... listen, I'm not going to say anything bad about Peter DRH, but I tell you what, Fuse Rogue might just be that damn good. To the line goes Soy Loco, 1:23.790, and a driver of Soy Loco's quality, currently P6, 2.5 seconds off. So if that's any testimony as to how confident and competent Fuse Rogue is, that's got to be it. I got to say, Peter DRH, it's a good effort for him, though. Well, a big slide there from Soy Loco. I'm not sure how he saved that one. Dead text message has just invalidated. Next around the line, is it going to be Los Mendigos? No, it's going to be his teammate of Jaw, who's going to be coming through here on a timed lap. Let's go along with him. Behind him is going to be the Haas of Tinel. I was gonna ask if I was pronouncing that right, but I'm not sure how many ways there are to pronounce a 4-lettered name. Well, either way, he's gone second at the moment, 7/10 off the pace, but still, great lap from Tinel. And I tell you what, that is maybe one that Fuse Rogue wouldn't have expected. I've never seen Tinel before, and, well, I tell you what, may have to keep an eye on him. Oh, that's a big spin then from Jaw. And unfortunately, as soon as he's got on the throttle going through turn 5, it's all gone spinning away from him. Can we go along with... Well, thankfully... Well, I was going to say the car was cleared away. It really wasn't. In fact, by the time both Peter DRH and Call Me Maybe went through that corner, the car was still there. Well, unfortunate for the McLaren, but that is just the testament to how unbelievably tricky these conditions are. I'll crack one open for the lads now. This has got to be absolute hell to drive in. Oh, yeah. Fuse Rogue's been disqualified for blocking the pit lane. He has spun. Coming out of the pit lane, as you can see, I think has the car been beached on the inside of the circuit, and he's off. And behind him, dead text message spins and crashes into the wall there. So Fuse Rogue, the early favorite for pole, well, he's lost his lap. He's done. I'm not sure what's happened with him there. He has spun the car. That much we do know. He was sideways against the wall on the inside of the circuit coming out of the pit lane. And now he's done. And there's the car driving off into no man's land here. And that's going to be the end of the qualifying session for Fuse Rogue. But I tell you what, I'm not going to say that may help him, but I would believe he does certainly thrive in the dry. And there's Tinel, who is spun going through the center. S is actually Curva del Sol. Meanwhile, Valentine currently P2, 0.4 of a second off the pace here. Feels like it's been a while since we've seen a race with Valentine in it, really. I can't remember the last race I had casting of him. That's a really good sight to see that. So I look at the moment P4. That's about much as we expected there. Call me maybe P5. All is shaping up at the moment, except for Tinel, still atop the table. And we still don't even really know who he is. That has to be said. Hey, by the way, welcome back, JC Blackley. Haven't seen him in a while. He's here. I believe he's in Division 3 full-time. I could be wrong. I'm not quite sure. But former Division 1, Division 2 driver as well. Good to see him back out on track. So we do have the Haas. That is Call Me Maybe, was spun it coming out of turn 12. Now, it's pretty tricky here because if you spin too far and you cut too much of the grass, the game will reset you on track in a very awkward position. In fact, it's almost right in the racing line. It's not ideal at all. Texas Tornado, 1:20.965. He's put a second back to Tinel. Well, I think Tinel's is he on a lap right now? No, I'm going to say no. I believe he's going to be starting one here. Let's have a look at his telemetry. Yes, I'm going to go and say he's going to be starting one here shortly. And I guess I'm allowed to be wrong. He's decided to pull it in despite being on full range of battery then. Texas Tornado, however, P1 at the moment with 9 minutes to go left in qualifying here for Division 3. As it looks like the Alfa Romeo Tin Man the Rowdy's just gone P4. 1:22.438, puts himself a second and a half. Soy Loco has just gone second, who has moved himself now within 3.5 tenths. I think we're going to have some solid competition here for pole. Fuse Rogue, I hate to say it, I think he was going to run away with pole there. It's going to be, I'd say, decently interesting now, as to be right honest with you. Looks like Valentine's coming back out on track. The Mercedes, Soy Loco just going past him now. Next driver on track, it's Texas Tornado. I have a feeling he's going to be coming in. He's invalidated. Fireball in the Haas. Sorry, not the Haas, the Ferrari. Where did I get Haas from out of that? Well, anyways, he's making his way through Duckspeak at the moment. Is he starting one, or what's he doing here? Well, I'd say he's on one at the moment. He's actually faster by 9/10 of a second through the second sector. That looks to be a good lap so far. That'll put him about, I would say, roughly P9, P10, somewhere around there. Dead text message has gone off. He retired earlier on. That was around the same time as the Fuse Rogue accident. Oh, and Texas Tornado has gone off. He has retired. Fireball actually goes P7 in all of that. The the Red Bull of Gab has gone P3. But somewhere around there, we just, we didn't witness, but the DNF of Texas Tornado happened. It's very unfortunate, because I don't want to say his time is vulnerable, but 3/10 of a second is not all that much in Division 3 terms. I tell you what, we may be seeing some more movement here on the standings. Freeman has just gone 9th. Welcome back, Freeman, as well. I think former driver that I've seen before, perhaps. That's a good save, has to be said. AlphaTauri coming around the line now. It is that of D-Block. And it looks like the Mercedes, that time Soy Loco. Well, he's lost that one. Coming out of Curva del Sol. And, well, the car has disappeared, but I'm assuming he may have slid and hit the outside wall. Very similar to that of what Freeman was about to do before he caught the car. Gee, we are really losing numbers here. Thankfully, the race is going to be dry. The full wet. Not ideal at the moment. Valentine on the timed lap now. Next across the line is the Alfa Romeo, I believe, is that of Peter DRH. He's actually gone slower by about 2.5 tenths then. So, but still time, still 6.5 minutes. So perhaps we can see more. Valentine through Sector 2 now in towards Turn 7 and Turn 8. Six minutes and 20 seconds to go here. Valentine making his way into Bica de Pato now. Ahead of him he has the Alfa Romeo of Tin Man the Rowdy, who I'm not sure if he's on a timer or not. Let's see. Gonna be coming around the timing line here shortly. He is actually faster by over 5.5 tenths at the moment. We're going to stick along with Tin Man the Rowdy. In fact, Valentine behind him has then gone purple Sector 2. It's going to be a very interesting battle here we have between these two. Tin Man the Rowdy coming through the final section of the lap now. I believe, is that Freeman who's just spun? Yes, it is. Tin Man to the line goes P4. Valentine to the line goes P3. 121.627.667. Better than his previous best. Very nice. Tin Man has gone P5. Very respectable for him. Still, the pole time belongs to Texas Tornado at a 1:20.965. That is looking like a very solid lap by, the lap now. It has to be said, I thought it was going to be slightly vulnerable, but then you look at behind Soy Loco. Actually, in fact, the gap from Soy Loco back to Valentine in reference to pole time doubles. Triples back to Tinel in P6, who Tinel on a timed lap now. Let's go along with him. Very interested to see what he's going to be up to here. He is slower by 1/4 of a second through Sector 1 with 5 minutes to go. Is he perhaps... is he on a timed lap here? I'm not quite sure. I keep, I turn on and off the telemetry because I think sometimes it does take up a little bit too much of the camera angle, has to be said. Maybe I'll have it only on when we go on board with them, like now. See, typically, when I have my... Oh, that's a big slide! Wow, good save, has to be said. Next to line, the Haas. It's one of them. It's going to be Call Me Maybe. Naturally, we're on board with the other one. Anyways, here comes, I believe, Freeman to the line now. I believe he's starting one now. He's not improved if he was on a timed lap. Next up, I believe is it Tin Man the Rowdy. He's going to be coming in. His teammate of Peter DRH is behind Tinel here, coming through turn 12. So Tinel coming through the final stages of the lap now. What does he have in store? Looking a pretty okay lap. Does not improve. Slower by almost 2 seconds there. Peter DRH coming through the final stages of the lap now. Where does he improve to? P7, 1:22.666, 2/10 of a second better. Moves to 1.7 behind pole. And on to now the fourth row of the grid. Looks like the Red Bull of Gab on an outlap here. He's going to be making his way through turn 12. Interesting to see. Valentine's still in the pit. Of course, we still have 3.5 minutes to go. I would kind of assume he'll be coming back out here shortly, but Gab making his way through the final sector now, about to begin a timed lap. I think if there's one other driver I could see getting pole here, or at least moving his way onto the front row, it has to be Gab, or I would think it's going to be Valentine as well. That camera angle turned garbage right quickly. Gab through the Senna S's into Curva do Sol. Rides the curb very heavily on the inside. I believe that will most likely spell the end of this time lap attempt, and yes, he is backing off. He just took way too much of the curb on the inside, and unfortunately for him, it was not going to get any better from then on out. When you lose about 0.5 of a second like that, we got 2 minutes and 45 seconds roughly remaining in the session. Tennell has invalidated. He'll be coming around, I would assume, maybe to pits. Well, he's on full battery. He doesn't look to be on low fuel. As far as tires are concerned, these are fresh, so I think we're going to see another one here from Tennell. Very interested to see here. Tennell on board with now, as he makes his way towards the first sector of corners now. Sector of corners, that's a weird way to say it. Into the first corner, through the Senna S's now, into Curva do Sol. Well, I tell you what, very tentative to get on the throttle, but at the very least he's held it well. That's going to pay him dividends, I would expect. At the line, well, he is slower by over 0.2 of a second. That much I did not expect to see. So Tennell making his way through turn 5. Not sure. Next to the line, I believe we do have the Ferrari of Fireball, who's coming through the early stages of the lap. Either that or he's just put together a better one. He's gone P9. I don't think that's the case, but it could be wrong. We do have D-Block on his way out now. Still, now for the first time, we are going to see our man in action, JC Blackley, yet to put together a timed lap. Very excited to see what he's got to offer. It's always a treat seeing JC on track. Gab making his way through the first sector now. Let's see what he's got. Valentine is retired. He's done all he could do. 90 seconds remaining here. So it's going to be up to Gab. Does he have what it takes to put together a better timed lap? Well, he's slower by over 0.2 for the first sector. Oh, and spins! No, he holds it. But either way, I think that's going to be the end of it here for him. He's not really going to recover. Maybe he'll have enough time to get back round. That's what I would think. And no, it looks like he's going to take the easy way out then, has to be said. Tennell has just gone P3, 1:21.362, moves within 0.4 of a second. And we have ourselves a new member of the front two rows. It belongs to the Haas of Tennell. Next to the line is Fireball. Well, he's just gone Purple Sector 2. It's 1/10 of a second faster. 45 seconds remaining here. Got the AlphaTauri coming around next. I believe it is D-Block. Could be wrong, but to the line goes Fireball. What does he have? 1:22.866. He's actually slower by 3/100ths of a second. Not ideal for him. AlphaTauri to the line now. It is not D-Block. It is JC, who is beginning one now with 30 seconds to go. Next up is the Haas of Call Me Maybe. What does he have in store? Well, it looks like he's going to be starting one here, I would think. Yeah, he's 7 seconds slower. I think this is going to be the one to look for. Freeman starting one as well. So first up is going to be the McLaren of Mandigos. I believe, is he starting one or finishing one? He's gone 1:23.253, 3.5 slower. It looks like Fireball has retired coming out of turn 5. JC's going past the scene of the accident now. His teammate of D-Block has gone in, as well as the Red Bull of Gab. So no improvements to be had there. JC making his first time lap attempt. The other Haas of Tennell will be coming through here shortly, and he's on his way into the pits. So, Call Me Maybe, the Williams of Freeman, and the McLaren of Mandigos perhaps, still on timed attempts. We'll have to see here. JC, again, naturally very tentative, making his way onto the throttle. It's going to be very difficult. The line goes JC. Naturally, this is his first attempt, 1:04.384. I'm not rightly sure how to compare that to the rest of the times. It does look slightly off pace, has to be said. We'll wait and see for him to get around the line here. Turn 15 he goes. You know, maybe he'll stick it in the mid-122s. And he's going to go 123, 373. Best, good enough for P13. Does out-qualify legitimately at least one driver. To the line is Call Me Maybe. He does join his teammates on the second row. Second row lockout for the Haas. Freeman has lost it coming out of turn 13. And now the final hope here will belong to Los Mendigos, who's coming through the line. And it has to be said, is not on a timed lap. So, Texas Tornado with pole. Soy Loco behind by 0.3 of a second. And then a second row lockout for the Haas team. Tennell and Call Me Maybe. I tell you what, the Haas team does look rather strong, and this is kind of what we were hoping for here. Maybe a little mixture in the qualifying results and what we can see on track. It's going to be one hell of a Grand Prix. So your starting grid then for the first round of the 11th season of the third division of the Midwest F1 League. Geez, that's a lot of words. Texas Tornado on pole, Soy Loco second. Second row lockout for Tennell and Call Me Maybe, the two Haas. Valentine, good result for him, P5, Gab, P6. It will be a fourth row lockout for the Alfa Romeos, P7 and 8 for Tin Man and Peter. P9 is the Ferrari Fireball. 10th is Freeman, 11th Manigos, 12th. And 13th, D-Block and JC Blackley, the AlphaTauri combo. Final time lap attempt belonged to Dead Text Message in the Alpine. Jaw and Anto did not get a timed attempt on the board. And Fuse Rogue, who was holding pole, was disqualified for spinning in front of the pit lane and apparently blocking it. So, dry race to come. Let's see how the drivers react. So a bright and sunny day here then in Sao Paulo. I tell you what, I don't know, is this Anthony Davidson doing the PA in the track in the game? I've just learned that everybody who's competed in F1 with the last name Hill has won a championship. That is, well, I didn't know that, but now that you think of it, yeah, it's pretty interesting. So, dry race to come here, less than a 10% chance for the entirety of the session. We will get ourselves a proper overtaking Grand Prix here, which is so nice to see. As much as sometimes you do like to see the wet session. It has to be said, I actually prefer having the wet in qualifying like that. Because at least now that has, messed up the order a little bit, we'll have ourselves a very interesting Grand Prix here, especially with Fuse Rogue starting at the back. It'll be a very fun to watch last to first challenge. My worry is just how the drivers are going to react going into turn one. Now not really knowing where that grip is going to be. See, that's the big tricky part is, you have your car set up here, and you're in tune for the wet in the qualifying session, then you go to the dry in the race where the wet doesn't exist, and suddenly you have to start fresh all over again. That's going to be a very tough hill to climb for our drivers here tonight, but I have no doubt in the talent and skill of the Division 3 grid here. Has to be said, I see a lot of potential in this grid. I tell you what, there's a lot of them I don't know now, but for the past few seasons, there have definitely been some notable drivers on and off the grid each week that I'm sure will make waves in the future. Brian Mosser and Noganator, to say the least, last season, put on one hell of a championship battle, as well as A-Dub as well. Somebody who really earned that championship. Unfortunately for Brian Mosser and that Mercedes, who didn't get it, but did damn well all season long. And the formation lap now underway. Midwest F1 of the Esports League, brought to you by Raise Energy and Epos Audio. Let's go ahead and see what our tire choices are. We got the majority on the mediums, but the big news here, Texas Tornado has chosen the hards. According to the game there, 21 to 23, that's going to be your one stop from apparently medium to soft. Hard to medium is going to be 19 to 27, I believe that said. So only 3 drivers have chosen the hards, Texas, Gab, and JC. Valentine and Freeman have chosen the softs. Everybody else is on the mediums. Those soft tires, I think, are going to be really good at the start here. Valentine, looking to go gutsy, perhaps if there's an early safety car. Given that he's not in it, I think it'll actually be quite a good play. Assuming that those hard tires could last over 20 laps. I tell you what, might be a very good idea. Tennell here, I tell you what, I don't know who this guy is or where he's come from. He's put himself on a very convincing part of the grid here. He's going to be side by side with his teammate. Hopefully they don't collide or anything into this first corner. But he is in amongst some of the best names in Division 3. Texas Tornado, while he didn't get promoted last year, or Soy Loco for that matter, both of them did have very strong races time and time again. It was just a matter of they weren't the ones necessarily winning the races, but constant P5s, podiums as well for the both of them. Has to be said, I definitely think maybe those two, and the third being Fuse Rogue, are going to be your favorites for promotion this year, I would say. in my early indication. But this is only the first round. There's still obviously a lot of the season left. So I could be wrong. But I would definitely keep your eye on them. But has to be said, I think Valentine might have a strong start here. He's on the softs. He'll have the best grip off the line. How long they'll last is going to be another question. They assume, roughly only about 10 laps or so. So, maybe he'll go from softs to hards, play the long game, and then, another safety car come out and he'll migrate his way towards the top, with everybody else pitting. That may be his plan. I'm not rightly sure. But either way, lots of different strategies and scenarios to be had on this grid. Speaking of Valentine, Freeman, and Anto, unfortunately for those three, they have not found the grid correctly. Texas Tornado will be leading the grid to the charge here into the first corner. The lights are coming on. The 11th season of the Midwest F1 League, and finally, we are underway, and it does look like Texas Tornado did get the best start. Soy Loco and Tinel are even behind them on their way into the first corner. Let's see who gets around first. Does everybody get around cleanly? Tinel around the outside of the initial part of the Senna S, and he has cleared the Mercedes of Soy Loco. It looks as if Valentine has improved past the Haas of Call Me Maybe. Perhaps some shuffling towards the back. Dead text message has fallen to P16. Fuse Rogue up 2 spots, making their way into turn 4. It looks as if Texas Tornado has cleared the rest of the field now by over half a second. Jaw and JC battling it out there, back for P13. Then as they come up the hill through Sector 2, Texas Tornado at the moment has half a second over Tinel, who has about 0.8 of a second, over Soy Loco, who, by the way, is pressuring Valentine here. It looks like, something's gone wrong with Peter. He has fallen back drastically, has lost spots to the McLaren. The Williams of Freeman has gone around and has collected, I think, the McLaren in the process. It looks, early indication, he hasn't lost any front wing, which is good news for him, but still, not exactly the sight you'd like to see there off the start. Everybody except Texas Tornado has either gained or lost a position here in the opening stages. What a statistic that is to have. And as we lead, come around the final corner here, Texas Tornado will lead the first lap of the season. Tinel under pressure from Soy Loco. Bit of a screen lag there, I apologize. Soy Loco 0.4 of a second. Of course, he won't have DRS until, I believe, the third lap of the Grand Prix coming out of Curva del Sol. But for now, as we can see, it looks like D-Blocks has fallen off. And, what's that there? Is that the Williams missing a bit of his front wing? Is that Fuse Rogue? Well, maybe it was just the camera angle, but it did look as if part of the wing was missing. I'm not entirely sure. But now D-Block really close behind Fireball here into the fourth corner. He's not going to have the move this time. But I tell you what, it does look a convincing drive from him at the moment, up 3 spots. Fuse Rogue up 7. But it has to be said, Fuse Rogue is losing out to D-Block here, over 2 seconds behind the AlphaTauri for the 9th spot. That is slightly concerning if I'm Fuse Rogue. Of course, at the moment, you've had a great start. I think, for the most part, you've stayed out of trouble. And that is the AlphaTauri of D-Block, who spun it round, coming out of turn number 8. Thankfully, it doesn't look as if he's hit anything. Quite a lot of room between walls and track at this circuit, thankfully enough, but those tires are going to be cooked, and I'm afraid he's going to have to regroup and try his best to get back around here, as now, coming out of turn 15, Tinel is within 0.5 of a second of Texas Tornado. Still no DRS to be had for the Haas, but he does set the fastest lap, immediately taken by both Soy Loco and Valentine as well. Valentine is 1.5 seconds behind Soy Loco here. You'd like to think that those soft tires were going to be better off the start. Doesn't right look it at the moment. They have a yellow flag at the back. It's D-Block has gone off again, as it looks like dead text message is on his way in. DRS, I don't know if it was activated or not that time, but Tinel has made up another 0.2 of a second on Texas Tornado. As at the moment, the battle for the top 3 still quite at large here. Let's go along with Soy Loco. As you can see, trying, I think, his best just to kind of observe these top 2 ahead of him. Maybe perhaps does he wait for one of them to make a mistake, or maybe do they make contact trying to overtake each other? Is that going to be what's on Soy Loco's mind here? It's still early days. Consistency is going to be the name of the game, but let's see if he does have an opportunity at some point or another to get round the 2 in front of him. But it's going to be a very interesting battle, as it looks like the Williams of Freeman has gone round this time, coming out of turn 7. It's an interesting transition between turn 6 and 7. If you take it too liberally, then you will find a spin, and I think that's what's happened to Freeman. He's just clipped the inside of the circuit. He's picked up 3 seconds for multiple warnings. His day's going from bad to worse right quickly. Tin Man getting around Call Me Maybe with the aid of DRS, promotes himself to 5th, as now behind the Haas, and it looks like the Red Bull as well, trying to get in position to make a move. But at the moment, all eyes are going to be on Tinel. Does he have enough time to get to the inside? Texas blocks the line well, and for now, Tenel will have to stay second, but Texas has not had a good exit of turn 5. Let's see Tenel on the inside. This is going to be quite the run up the hill through 6 and 7. Behind is Soy Loco just waiting. Does something happen? Tenel trying it around the outside. He's doing everything he can. He's trying to force Texas into a mistake here, but it has to be said, Texas is defending very well as Valentine picks up 3 seconds. Not very good for him, although he does have 2.5 back to Tin Man. But at the moment, Soy Loco just waiting as long as he can. Texas Tornado, again, being on the hards, he's going to be at the disadvantage here in the early stages, but still not really any movement to be had amongst the top 3. Tenel did overtake Soy Loco at the start, but at the moment, all 3 of them seem to be dead even on pace. It's going to be one hell of a battle here. DRS is going to be enabled for the Haas. I think if he has enough time, he'll take the outside. Yes, he will. To the line he goes. Tenel is going to overtake him, and he will clear Texas Tornado by the time they get into the first corner. Very nicely done for the Haas. Oh, but I think he's had not the best transition through turn 2 with the Senna S into Curva do Sol, and now Texas Tornado is going to try the outside. Maybe. No, he's going to switch back down inside into turn 4, and Texas Tornado pokes ahead once more as they're side by side through 4 and 5. And Texas Tornado does take the lead. But still only a 10.5 separating. Soy Loco, all the while, is starting to close in on this battle. They have a yellow flag in the back. Oh, it's Valentine. He's gone round. Oh, and that is not the best spot of the circuit to be in. Yellow flag's out. Thankfully, he's not hit anything, but the spin has happened. He'll be relegated down to P11, perhaps P12. But good news for him, he's only just lit up the tires and no front wing is missing. Probably best case scenario for that sort of thing. So 1.5 seconds separate the top 3 here. Actually, that's just not even true. Less than a second at the moment, as DRS is going to be activated here as they come around the final couple of corners. DRS activated. Tenel looking for the outside again. Soy Loco's going to follow suit. And again, Texas Tornado does well to block the outside line, although who is that? That's the Williams of Freeman who's gone off again. 0.2 seconds here. Has Tenel gotten the better exit out of turn 3? It looks like he has. And now Soy Loco will have to wait and see what Texas Tornado does here. Texas blocks the inside line. Tenel will have to try around the outside. Slightly gets forced up the track, but both drivers stay within track limits. Soy Loco down to the outside. Did hit the rear wheel there of Tenel, but no damage to be had, and no cars go spinning. It'll play for now. Up the hill through turn 8 they go. Tenel still in pursuit of Texas Tornado. I'm actually quite surprised how that collision there didn't end in a spin. Very nicely done for both drivers to hold on. Very close and intense racing to be had here. Brilliant stuff in the early stages. Freeman and D-Block on their way in. Freeman has retired. I would assume perhaps is D-Block going to do the same. Oh, Soy Loco is spun! No, he's lit up the rear tires coming out of turn 13. Turn 12, rather. And he'll drop down the order to P5, P6 here in a minute as Call Me Maybe goes round the outside. Oh, very unfortunate for Soy Loco, but again, thankfully enough, he's not hit anything. And again, that is most likely best case scenario in that instance. So it's 0.2 seconds between these two. Exiting Curva do Sol. Down the back straight now, Tenel. Round the I say back straight. Round the outside, in towards turn 4. He's gone a slightly wide there. He's had to regain control of the car. He's gone heavy on the exit curb, nearly lost the car. That may open the door for Texas as they go up the hill through turn 6 and 7 and 8. At the moment, Tenel does have the good line. I tell you what, it almost looks as if he's starting to pull away. Gap up to 0.5 seconds now. That car in. Oh, safety car on track. Well, I'm not sure why the safety car has come out here. We've had Soy Loco spin it round, but why the safety car has chosen to come out is a slight mystery here, as Soy Loco is not missing any front wing. Is there anybody at the back who is? That text message is not. D-Block is not. Very much a phantom safety car, that one. Not really sure why. Oh, it looks as if Dead Text Message is just retired from this. What has happened with Dead Text Message? Why is he... What is that? Why is his car off? Well, he came out next to the safety car. Did the safety car perhaps run him into the wall? I don't really know what that was. Anyways, Tenel into the pits here. Texas Tornado into the pits. Tin Man into the pits as well. Call Me Maybe Mandy Ghost all coming in, as well as Gab. And by the way, guess who stayed out and is now taking the lead? Oh, by the way, it's Fuse Rogue. So who is coming in here? We've got Tennell fresh mediums, Texas fresh mediums. Slightly odd for those two. That's going to have to make it a two-stopper here. Because naturally they started on the mediums. Actually, no, Texas did start on the hards. That part is true. Tennell did start on the mediums. So he will have to stop again. If I'm to be corrected. I think that's what's happened. So Fuse Rogue has been promoted to the lead. Tennell is kept second, although he'll have to stop an additional time because he's gone from medium to medium. Texas Tornado third. Tin Man up to fourth. Call me maybe fifth. JC's been promoted to sixth. He's stayed out. Mandigo seventh. Gab eighth. Soy Loco ninth. Fireball 10th. Peter, Valentine, Anto, Jaw, and D-Block round out the grid here. So, only one driver to stay out. It is JC. 7-lap-old hards. I would say that's actually not a bad call there for JC. I think, you know, he's done enough lap on the hards, but I think maybe are they just comfortable for him at the moment? I would think so, because 7-lap-old hards, yep, I'm gonna call that a good decision. Only 7 laps old, and, you know, he's made up quite a lot of ground staying out, and Fuse Rogue stayed out as well. 8-lap-old mediums, that's, yeah, that's, I would say that's a good decision, too. Hard to tell. We don't really, it has to be said, the delta between the mediums and the hards isn't that much. We saw that with Tennell and Texas battling in the early stages there. Texas, despite being on the hards, did hold the Haas for a very long time. So, at the moment, I would say, realistically, even if you are Fuse Rogue, you might do okay here off the start. Safety car on track, 9 laps. Well, we're completing the 9th lap here. What is this? Fuse Rogue is going... Migrating host. Why? Well, Peter's left. Do we have a problem? Well, it looks as if Div 1 is doing a new lobby as well. We have had the host disconnect. I would assume the safety car is going to stay out another lap here. It's only just making its way into Sector 3 now. Unless it does get going. See what it decides to do. Peter is rejoined again. Safety car will make its way in this lap. Okay. Quick turnaround here in Division 3. Love to see it. About to begin the 10th lap of the Grand Prix. Has to be said, we have seen time and time again Fuse Rogue be in these positions of being, I would say, on the back foot regarding the safety car restart, and here he goes. I think he's done another one again. Yes, he has. He's put half a second behind Tennell as they make their way to the green flag. So it looks like Gab and Soy Loco battling it out there. I'm not rightly sure what's happened with those two. Can't be passing before that start-finish line. And we saw the deltas going back and forth, so I'm not rightly sure what the case is there. We do have Peter falling down the order now. He has gone straight through that first corner. I think that actually, you know what, at the end of the day may have been the better choice if he was in that bad of a spot. Fuse Rogue does have the lead. Tennell behind by 0.2 of a second, poking his nose to the inside. Doesn't have the room at the moment. Texas Tornado in third at the moment. Oh, look at this. Tennell's going to try it around the outside. And no, I think he finally realized he wasn't going to have the space. What an effort that would have been. What a way to stake your claim in Division 3. Right there up against the gearbox of Fuse Rogue. Still doesn't have anything at the moment. We do have now, what is that? D-block 5-second penalty for ignoring the blue flag. Can we go up to the penalties here? That's what we're looking at. Jaw 5 seconds, I believe, for speeding into the pit lane. Valentine 3 seconds for exceeding track limits. And D-block 5 seconds for ignoring the blue flag is what we've learned there. Tennell right up against the gearbox here. Fuse Rogue trying it round the outside. He's not having DRS yet. Texas Tornado in pursuit as well. 3-car battle into the first corner. Texas is going to go down the inside. Oh, and I thought he was going to have it, but no. He will be side by side with Tennell, and he will get that spot. Very nicely done, although, has he just gone off track to make that happen? Oh, as we do have a multi-car incident at the back, it is Valentine and Anto who have gone... Oh, he's gone right in front of Peter. Careful, guys. Can't be doing that. We'll have to take another look at that replay because to me it did look as if Texas Tornado was all four tires over the curb going through Curva del Sol to make that move happen over Tunnel, but for the time being, all three drivers still in contention for the lead of the Grand Prix. Remember, Fuse Rogue, 8-lap, probably now 9-lap-old medium tires, definitely on the back foot here as far as pace is concerned, but he's done well to hold off the two behind him. D-Block now, 3-second penalty, puts him up to 8. That's for multiple warnings. And now the top three separated by just 0.5 of a second. It's Texas Tornado and Fuse Rogue. Well, I think Fuse Rogue had a major mishap coming off of the corner there, and now Tunnel round the outside. Well, he's actually going to fall back, and I'm not rightly sure what's just happened. I think Fuse Rogue nearly spun the car coming out of turn 12, turn 13. Nearly resulted in an accident between these three, and Fuse Rogue has gone deep into the corner and will cede the position back to Tunnel. I'm not sure why, but he has fallen back to third. Meanwhile, ahead it is 0.5 of a second here between the top two. Tunnel's not going to have the space to make it happen this time. Yellow flag at the back. It is the AlphaTauri of JC. Something has gone awry with him. He's backed into the fence on the outside of Curva del Sol. Thankfully for him, it looks like he's going to be able to continue. Well, still 0.5 second between these two here. As yellow flag again. Oh, why is that yellow flag come out? Is it the Aston Martin of Valentine? Something has perhaps happened with him. Perhaps he's just slow getting up to speed. That could be it. As we said, something is dreadfully wrong with Valentine here. He's losing positions left and right. Looks like JC is spun going through turn, turn 7. Valentine has just lost 2 spots there in the matter of like a corner. Well, here's Tunnel down to the inside. Oh, I tell you what, I thought that one was going to go haywire, but as it turns out, they keep it clean for now. And once again, these two battle. Oh, big slide and big save for Texas Tornado. I'm not sure how he held on to that one, but very nicely done. As Call Me Maybe and Mandy go side by side. Mandy has actually gone wide, has lost the spot to the Haas, and now is under pressure from the Red Bull. And to the inside is Soy Loco. 3-car battle, 3 into 1 into turn 4. I don't think it's going to work well, but they're going to try it anyways. Down the inside is Mandy goes. He does get both of them. And then Gab does get around Mandigos as well. What a maneuver then from Soy Loco. Very nicely done. What a move that. Very risky part of the track to do that. That 4th corner, despite having DRS into it, is not the best spot for making a move. But Soy Loco has done just that, and he's done it so well. And JC is retired in the pits. Not the revenge tour JC was hoping for, I'm sure. So 0.3 of a second in closing. Tunnel looking for it, round the outside, in toward the first corner. Lots of screen lag that. Side by side, going down the hill. Texas still has the inside, and yet again. Now, that time it looked more convincing in favor of Texas, because as you can see, Tunnel did not give him all the room to the inside. But I do think that first time, Texas could have stayed on track, and he didn't. That time I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt to the Alpine. Meanwhile, Soy Loco and Call Me Maybe side by side through turn 4. Soy Loco's done him round the outside. I tell you what, Soy Loco's on a mission here, lads. First the double overtake between the Red Bull and the McLaren, then does the Haas in there. And turn 4, I tell you what, Soy Loco looking very confident with his car at the moment, has to be said. Behind him, 3-car battle here for, well, actually, I tell you what, probably about 4 or 5-car battle here for what is eventually going to be that 5th spot. P5 down to P10 is just within a couple of seconds of each other. About 3 seconds separate these 5 cars. Not bad at all. Once again, we'll go on board with the 2 leaders here. Tunnel this time chooses the inside, and I think that's what he needed for the most part to get around Texas Tornado. Into the Senna S as they go, and Tunnel has done the job that time. Very nicely done from the Haas, but Texas Tornado still in pursuit here. Remember, Tunnel does need to pit again. He started on the medium tires and has gone to the mediums under the pit stop. Texas Tornado started on the hards. He then switched to the mediums. So Texas Tornado, theoretically, I'm not sure he would be able to do it because he's gone mediums quite early here, but he could, if he wanted to, go the rest of the way without stopping. Legally, at the very least. And yellow flag. It does look as if the McLaren and perhaps the Ferrari Fireball and Jaw have come together then. Peter and Valentine side by side into the first corner. Good battle here. Peter is going to get a great acceleration to the inside of turn 5. However, he'll have to stick it around the outside of turn 6 and 7. What a difficult place to go side by side this, and well, Valentine's come out on top that time. But either way, good battle that. Still 0.4 of a second here. Texas Tornado getting closer, trying it around the outside this time into turn 1. And I'm afraid he's just not going to have the facilities for that time, for that one. Well, I tried to segue into a joke, didn't quite happen. Oh, it looks like we've got either a crash. No, it's just genuine overtaking here. Gab has gotten around the Mercedes of Soy Loco, and I believe Mandagos has gotten around the Haas of Call Me Maybe, so good battling here. Tell you what, you see a lot of shuffling about in positions like that. You sometimes assume the worst. Soy Loco around the outside now, making their way to turn 4. Does he have it? Oh, he's got it by plenty as well. Very nicely done for Soy Loco, who again looks so confident with that Mercedes. And now Tinel, outside of a second, heading into Bico de Pato. The Ducks Peak, turn 10. He's got it by over a second. Does he stay ahead of the second by the time they come out of turn 12 and 13? That's where the detection zone is. I think he will. Yes, he does. Texas Tornado will not have DRS to the Haas this time. And is that what Tinel needed? Because when he's in free air, free clean air, that car has looked quite good. 0.4 of a second here. Gab does have DRS to Soy Loco. Soy Loco, unfortunately for Gab, having DRS to Tin Man. That's really going to halt Gab's attempts to overtake. He's going to have to do it purely by capitalizing on a mistake, I'm afraid. DRS activated here for Gab into the 4th corner. Well, he's going to go wide then. Quite wide, as a matter of fact. Coming up on halfway through the Grand Prix this next time by. Onto the 18th out of 36 laps. Fireball, 3-second penalty, multiple warnings, puts him... Nope, that's just his first. That's at 3. And at the moment, look at this. Tinel, nearly 3 seconds over Texas... Uh-oh. 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 Huh. Interesting. We shall figure this out. Stay with us. I'm not going to celebrate until I see the track. Let's go! Oh, we're under safety car. Okay, that may have been the wrong thing to celebrate, but we are here. Why this safety car has come out? Oh, well, it's the Red Bull of Gab, and Soy Loco has also gone off in the time that I was away. Well, I hate to say it. We'll never know now, but what we do know is that there is still time left in this race. So, Tinel still leads. I don't really know what happened. Gab has not finished. Soy Loco is not finished. Which Soy Loco, I mean, I don't know if he maybe had just spun out and then retired in the pits. Gab was having a great race. Soy Loco was having a great race and then unfortunately didn't end very great. Well, it couldn't have ended very great if that's the case. But it looks like I would think we're kind of well, I'd say we've probably only just picked up the safety car, but either way, it does look as if we are here. Tinel has pit for the hard tires, as he would have needed to do. It looks as if Texas Tornado has fallen down to 4th. Fuse Rogue second, Tin Man third. Fuse Rogue fresh softs, Tin Man fresh mediums. Mandigos fresh mediums, Call Me Maybe fresh mediums, Jaw relatively fresh mediums. I'm assuming, I'm not rightly sure what's happened, why people have DNF'd, but what I do know is we are here, we're back. So, well, I'll tell you what I know is that Tanella's out on track. He's leading the Grand Prix. Fuse Rogue, 2-lap-old soft, so he would have just come in. I'm confused as to why Texas Tornado is at 13-lap-old mediums, but has fallen down to 4th. Last time we checked, well, it looks like he's gotten into, perhaps Call Me Maybe. Is what I'm learning there. So that is that Haas of Call Me Maybe, currently P6. So I'm not sure what's happened, but what we do know is the safety car is going to be coming in this lap. We've got just over 10 laps of racing left. Tanel, I think, is in an okay spot. As when it comes time towards the end of the race, Fuse Rogue has clearly done the strategy of we're going to go for pace and we're going to do it now. Tin Man is obviously playing the medium approach with the mediums. But back under green flag here, just about 10 laps to go as it looks. Oh, Texas Tornado was I immediately trying to have a look there. The two McLarens side by side, and I think the Alfa Romeo of the Ferrari of Fireballer has been shuffled back slightly, as well as I think the Haas of Call Me Maybe has been gone backwards just a little bit in that. There's Call Me Maybe down to the inside at the back of your picture just then. It looks like he was going to have a move on the inside, didn't quite have the facilities for it this time. We do have quite the mix of tire strategies on the grid at the moment, let's say that much for sure. Fuse Rogue, remember, currently holding driver of the day, started P17 after, unfortunately not, well, he was disqualified for some reason. What we do know is he spun in front of the pit lane and the game decided to disqualify him. That was probably not the best decision from the game, I'll admit, but either way, he's up 15 spots and now battling for the win. It looks as if Tanel's had a good start. Well, he had a great start to the race, overtook, who was it? I believe Texas Tornado he was fighting with, and is now under pressure from Fuse Rogue. Round the outside, looks the Williams here. He's going to have clear pace on those soft tires, but, again, he's chosen the pace now, and that's what's worrying me, because, again, I think at the end of the run, Tanel will have the better tires. The softs are going to wear out much quicker than the hards, naturally, as they do. So Tanel may be in trouble now, but will he be if he's able to hold on for just a little bit longer? The two McLarens battling it out here. Jaw's gotten around his teammate Mandigos. Call Me Maybe's in this as well. Really into the grass then went Mandigos. He's trying to get around. Sorry, that's Jaw. He's actually getting around the Alpine and Texas Tornado now. Side by side is the McLaren of Mandigos and Call Me Maybe as they make their way through turn 5. And it does look as if, well, this is brilliant battling this. Side by side up the hill through 6 and 7 and 8. I don't know how they're going to do this, but side by side they go. Oh, and look at this Fireball went very deep into the corner. Went straight into the side of the McLaren. And if I was Fireball, I would be giving that spot back. They was quite late on the brakes and contact was definitely made. Huh. Not sure. But what we do know is Tanel trying his best. But now outside of a second on Fuse Rogue. This time of the line, 10 laps to go. 0.3 of a second here. Call Me Maybe trying to find his way around Texas Tornado. DRS enabled. Around the outside is the Haas. Oh, Texas Tornado's on his way in. Well, that might be. I'm not sure exactly why he's coming. I know his tires were old. Not a front wing change. I don't know what the deal is with that. The Texas Tornado, I think, that was probably a mistake to be pitting then. I'm not entirely sure. 0.4 of a second here between Call Me Maybe and Mandigos, and then they kind of stack up behind him. Peter DRH as well in this. Valentine in this as well. Mind you, a couple of these drivers having 3-second penalties, that being Fireball, Peter, and Valentine at 8, Anto at 3. Valentine way down to the inside. Wow, he really went for the ballsy one on that one. He has overtaken Peter. Remember, for anybody, including Fireball, Peter, and Anto, he'll have to clear them by 5 seconds to keep his position at the moment. He still will lose the spots with an S on the end of it, considering he does have 8 seconds of penalty, but he is side-by-side with the Ferrari. Oh, and I tell you what, he's nearly gone off track there. In fact, both the Ferrari and the Aston slow, I would say, almost to a stop then, as they were side-by-side. The Aston went into the grass, and now, wow, look at this. Valentine really trying for it here. Well, Peter's gone round the inside, has gotten them, and now Anto down the inside. Wow, Anto's gone for it, and he's gone straight into the side of the Alfa Romeo, and it's going to be losing spots here. Thankfully, I don't think it's caused damage to Peter, because that would have sure been a penalty. But a 4-car battle here, all of which having penalties, but all of which within a tenth of each other. This is brilliant. This looks like NASCAR. What I'd give to see NASCAR on this track, but either way. Looks like Manigos and Call Me maybe swapping positions up there, but I'm going to have my eyes on this for just a little while. Has to be said, I think carnage might be coming with these 4. Boy, nearly into the back of the Aston that time. Down to the inside is Peter. Well, inside, he'll have the outside now through turn 9. Oh, and that's definitely contact there. And now a second and a half separate Fuse into... Well, I tell you what, I think maybe as Fuse, has he made a mistake coming out of 13? That was a 2-second gap prior to turn 12 and turn 13. I think Fuse has made a mistake somewhere. As now it looks like Jaw within 5/10 here of Tin Man trying to get onto the podium here. Tin Man having a great race so far. Kind of one of those names that I think flew under the radar during the qualifying session, is now really in position. He's up 4 spots. I think he's got a fair shout for getting this podium here, but Jaw is going to have DRS, and I think he's going to have plenty of room here to make that happen. Yes, he does. Texas Tornado, fastest lap. Down the inside is Jaw. He does make that move happen. Tin Man still in position, still 0.2 of a second. I tell you what, he may get him going back up the hill here. It'd be unconventional, sure, but definitely possible. But, has to be said, Anto and Peter, side by side there, and I think as Peter, I'm not really sure how that's happened, because suddenly they were within a tenth of each other, and then suddenly, Anto kind of fell back a little bit. I'm not rightly sure what has happened with that move and why Anto fell off as far as he did. But either way, that battle has kind of sorted itself out now. Those drivers all, outside of a second on each other. At the moment, it kind of still looks as if Valentine will be losing all 3 of those spots, as he's not really closing in on Call Me Maybe. Again, he needs 5 seconds of gap to keep the spots over those with the 3-second penalty. At the moment, he just doesn't have that. So down the straight now in towards turn 4. Snell still teetering at about 1.5 seconds, although he is starting to close in. Snell being on the hards, Fuse Rogue being on the softs. I would like to believe, 8-lap-old softs. I would say by the time we hit lap 33, 34, we'll see the mediums start, the hards start to kind of come into the picture here, and maybe Snell will have him by the final lap or sooner. At the moment, it does look as if Fuse Rogue having to conserve here. Let's go with its telemetry. 13% battery. He's doing his best to try and, get the pace where he can, but at the moment, it does look as if maybe it's Fuse Rogue on the back foot here. Snell, not much better off. 25% battery for him. He will not have DRS this time either, but if he's, if he at least catches somewhat of a slipstream, maybe out of Curva del Sol, he'll have DRS going down in towards turn 4. That's going to be best case scenario for Snell, but again, both of these drivers, you get them in clean air, and they will haul ass, and I think that's what we're seeing again. Because Tennell was getting out to a big gap on Texas Tornado when he went out to it. Again, no DRS here for Tennell. He's about 6/100ths of a second shy of Delta being had. Again, this is, at the moment, what looks to be the closest battle on track. No DRS, well, for anybody else. I think, at the moment, through the slow speed, through Sector 2, it does look as if Tennell is the better car. But I'm not entirely sure. I think on the straight line, he is being beaten by the Williams. So this time by, we will have 5 laps to go in the opening round of the Division 3 season. Remember, no results are final until stewards' reports are posted later in the week. So, of course, there may have been something that we missed that would turn the result of a race on its head. That is possible. It's happened before. But this time, what we do know, Tunnel is within DRS range of Fuse Rogue. He won't make the overtake in towards turn 1. He's not going to have enough time. But with 5 laps to go, it does certainly seem as if the Haas is coming. And he's going to be there. I think if... Oh! Texas Tornado is retired! And the safety car on track! Well, with absolutely no time left in the race, Texas Tornado has lost it going through Bico de Pato, that being the Ducks Peak, turn 10. And now, well, I tell you what, I was about to say Fuse Rogue's going to be at a disadvantage, but he is one of the best safety car restart drivers ever that I've seen. Every single time I see this guy out ahead of a grid with a safety car coming in, he always finds a way to put a good gap and catch the next driver behind him out by surprise. But it has to be said, Tunnel, when he led the safety car restart, he also did that same thing. Is he going to be on the same wavelength as Fuse Rogue? And, you know, perhaps be immune to the trickery here. That's going to be a big question. We have seen just now several drivers come in. Can we see, well, Call Me Maybe on back have all gone for softs. Call Me, Fireball, Valentine, Peter, Anto have all come in for the soft tires. Now, that's a tough one. Oh, Fuse Rogue is on his way in! Oh, I don't know, guys. That may have been a mistake. You think about it, he would have only had to do about 3 more laps on track. Oh, but if you see behind... Oh, this is interesting, this. So Fuse Rogue thinking it was going to be a mistake on my part, at least. That is now set into motion, both Tin Man, Jaw, as well as, I tell you what, it's going to be a double stack for the McLarens here. I tell you what, it's going to do right... It's going to do all right enough. I don't think he's going to lose any position. Well, I probably might. Yeah, he's going to lose at least 2 spots here. Well... That has suddenly, really... Oh, man. I thought something was wrong with Fuse Rogue when he came in then. You know, I thought, 10 laps on the softs, surely that's got to be at the point where they're near puncture range. No, what he's done there is he has really called the bluff of Tunnel here. Tunnel wanted to stay out, you could see it. But Fuse Rogue, knowing that he had enough gap to not lose any spots, that the rest of the grid behind him had already pit for the softs, he figured, what the hell, I'm not going to lose anything. But I tell you what, Tunnel being on 10-lap old hards to fresh softs, he's about as much on the back foot as you could possibly get. That is just, that is the bottom line. Stone Cold said so, that's the bottom line. What he could do is he could pit, perhaps... No, he is going to stay out. Okay, that was going to be his last chance to pit then, which I think in hindsight he probably should have done in the first place. But I could see his reasoning. Track position's going to be more important. We're going to have 2 laps to go of racing after the safety car comes in on lap 35. DRS will not be in play. Can Tunnel stay ahead? Wow, what a turn of events this is, well, turning out to be. Tunnel, the driver that's, well, again, we really didn't know anything about. Put in a great qualifying performance. It was I believe, second row lockout for the Haas team. Call Me Maybe's had a good day in his own right. Still P5. You know, he would have lost a spot then. Yeah, he's down 1, but either way, still a good day for him. A top 5 finish is definitely respectable. Fuse Rogue up 15. Jaw up 12. Where's Jaw been? He's 4 stops for the McLaren. Something tells me that this race has simultaneously gone to and also not gone to plan for the McLaren. But 4 stops happening, and, well, he has 3rd, so it couldn't be that bad, could it? So again, one last time, Tunnel will be on 12 lap hards on the way round. We'll have 2 laps to go. Everyone else behind him, fresh softs. The hards, at this point, I don't think will be degraded enough to be a weakness as far as that, but again, they are the slower compound. Safety car in this lap. We'll go back to the penalty views here. Fireballer, Valentine having served his 5 seconds, both down to 3. Peter at 3 as well. Anto 6 and D-Block at 3. So, realistically, for P7 and behind, it is a true battle for position here. But we will have 2 laps of racing, this time by. What does Tinel do? How big of a gap does he build here? And the green flag in the air. He saved up his battery. He does have 3/10 going into the first corner. 2 laps to go here in Sao Paulo. And D-Block is 3 seconds for multiple warnings there. It looks like Call Me Maybe and Tin Man side by side going in towards Curva del Sol. And it looks as if around the outside is the Haas. And he is looking like he's going to get that spot. Down to the inside. Tinel was really trying to block the inside. I think he may do it. Fuse Rogue round the outside. And Fuse Rogue does take the lead of the Grand Prix. And it has to be said, I think it may be all over for Tinel. But he is still within 2.5 tenths of a second. Never say never here in Division 3. Tin Man the Rowdy does get around the Haas, but now 0.5 of a second here. Tinel very much under pressure from Jaw, and it has to be said, I fully expect Fuse Rogue to pull away from it now. 0.7 of a second, and I think it might just be all over. Jaw, if he wants any shot of winning this race, has to get around the Haas, and he has to do it now. Through 12 and 13 for the penultimate time here. It's a second, 1.2 seconds the gap. And Jaw trying round the outside of the Haas. He won't be having any pressure really from behind from the Alfa Romeo. So now will drop to 3rd. And now the chase begins for Jaw. Does Fuse Rogue make a mistake? Is Jaw quick enough to regain any track position? It doesn't quite look like it, has to be said. Already behind by 1.2 seconds. Meanwhile, Tinel has now fallen back. Tin Man the Rowdy is now within 0.8 of a second on the Haas. But meanwhile, the Haas teammate of Call Me Maybe could be trying to get around the Alfa Romeo here. Well, I tell you what, Jaw was within a second there for just a little bit. Of course, we're outside of, we're not going to have DRS range, or we're not going to have DRS at all in the final stages here. But about 4 seconds separate the top 4. So it looks as if the battle really on for this 4th spot. Could the Haas go back to where they started, P3 and P4? It wouldn't be the best result. Certainly not what they had in mind, especially for Tinel. He took the gamble on the tires, and I'm afraid he's just fallen short of winning here. But who hasn't fallen short of winning? A driver who really was never in doubt. He's gone from last to first, and he will take the opening round here in Sao Paulo. Fuse Rogue takes the win. Jaw on a 4-stop strategy goes P2. Tinel gets 3rd. Tin Man has gone P4. What? I'm sorry, what has happened to Call Me Maybe? He's dropped significantly. Manigos has gotten P5, and that's the end of it. What has happened there with Call Me Maybe? I'm not sure at all. Fuse Rogue rightfully picking up driver of the day. So after it's all said and done here in Division 3, Fuse Rogue takes the win. The last to first challenge complete. Jaw 2nd, and what a day he had. Tinel 3rd. Great debut for him. Tin Man 4th. Manigos 5th. Call Me Maybe 6th. Valentine 7th. Fireball 8th. 9th is Peter. 10th is Anto. D-Block P11, unfortunately for Texas on back. None of these drivers finish the Grand Prix. Next week, we do head to Imola for what should be a very exciting second round of the season, and Las Vegas after that. Should be a very, very fun start to the season. Hotspot, thank you for joining us this time once again. We'll see you next week.